Yo, what's up, fellas? My name is LCBbop, and it's February, which means it's time for a brand new video essay. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to, and hit that bell to stay notified for when I'll be making brand new videos. A very immediately received aspect of platformers of all kinds is the underwater sections. If you asked me what my favorite part of the new Super Mario Bros. Games was, I definitely would not tell you the underwater sections. However, these levels do have their own merit, though sometimes it's hard to find the right ones. In this video, I will be taking a deep dive into the gaping abyss of various examples of underwater levels in video games, good or bad. Ready? Let's go. A great example of a good underwater level is none other than Jolly Roger Bay from Super Mario 64. In this open experience, you're freely tasked with collecting any of the stars of your choosing. Within the level, there are places I like to call access points, points that guide you to where to get the star you desire. An example being the eel star, which is one of the most straightforward stars in the game. The access point, or motivation in this case, is to get the eel to come out and play, hence the name, Can the Eel Come Out to Play? Another star allows you to enter the cave, which consists of treasure. The access point is the cave entrance itself. Inside the cave, there are 4 chests that you have to open in the correct order. Once you have the correct order, bam! There's the star. Ah yes, Coral Capers. The slow water level in Donkey Kong Country that doesn't actually feel slow. It's fun to drift and float with the currents in this one. The music in this level, Aquatic Ambiance, really makes this experience go from a 9 to a 10. And even though the level design is simple, the overall quality and atmosphere is amazing, and is definitely one of my favorite underwater levels. Sonic Adventure 2 has some interesting and memorable levels, and among these is Aquatic Mine. You play as Knuckles and flip switches that raise and lower the water level in search of 3 missing pieces of the Master Emerald. Its chill hip-hop aesthetic music collided with its optimized swimming controls make this hunt a pleasant experience. At times I even found myself bopping to the music so much that I forgot what the objective was. Hunted P and the Sonic Adventure 2 sound team knew exactly what they were doing when they designed this level. And with the water levels and different heights, there is so much room for adventure. No pun intended.
Water temples are a pretty abstract concept in the sense that no 2 games handle them the same way. And some use different physics while others use completely different mechanics entirely. In my section, I'm going over water temples in Zelda games, which are likely the more notorious levels in gaming. Looking at the water temple from Ocarina of Time is extremely tedious due to the fact that you have to constantly raise and lower the water level. That, coupled with the amount of time it takes for Link to sink while wearing the iron boots, makes the water temple a pain to play through. But the end result is definitely worth it, as you're rewarded for it with one of the game's most useful items, the long shot. Similar to the hook shot, only it's faster and it has a lot more range to it, which means you can get to places that you couldn't before a lot quicker and easier without having to use your old hook shot anymore. Now let's talk about the Lake Bed Temple in Twilight Princess. This one is similar to the Ocarina of Time's water temple, only this time you don't have to mess around with the water level as frequently, but you still have the iron boots and they still sink slowly. But again, your reward is definitely worth it. It's like the hook shot, but this time it's the claw shot, and it looks a lot cooler, which in my eyes is definitely the most important part. Once you get a second one, you basically become Spider-Man. Like, you can pretty much go anywhere once you get a second one. But anyways, I'm going to hand it back to LC now. I'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Jotep. Ty the Tasmanian Tiger is a unique 3D platformer that doesn't usually get the praise it deserves. One of the levels in the game is called Shipwrecks, and it's a beach collided with an underwater section that's a hell of a trip to go through, partly because of the controls, but also because of the obstacles and overall structure of the level. Sure, throwing your boomerang is fun and all, but swimming with it is a whole nother ballgame.
Now, where were we? Let me see. Yeah, there you go. Open, meow. Really tough, meow.
On to the bad levels. Now this is a category I'm not too keen on going into, but I do have some unique picks up my sleeve. Starting with Bat's Tower from Conker's Bad Fur Day. Now let's be real for a second. We all know that Conker's main focus was the comedy, not exactly being a stellar platformer, so there were bound to be some lackluster sections. One of these lackluster sections was Bat's Tower. When I say this level was annoying, I mean this level was astronomically annoying. The most annoying part of this section was the notorious combination on the wall. Shooting at the right time with your slingshot is tedious and easily raging, because every 3 times that you miss, a spike mine will be sent flying in your direction. And missing is easy because of the terrible aiming controls, and Conker firing later than he's supposed to. A famous zone referenced countless times throughout the Sonic the Hedgehog series is none other than Labyrinth Zone, and is commonly known as one of the worst underwater levels in video game history. When I did my 2D Sonic-thon in the summer of 2019, I experienced just that. A raw and unkept underwater level with its maze-like structure and confusing depths. The main feature though, is the amount of water in the level, basically forcing you to search for an air bubble more than actually navigating the level. The music makes this level a bit less straining, but not enough to keep the stress levels at a low rate.
Ancient Cistern from Skyward Sword. If I were ever forced to play this dungeon again, I would literally gouge my eyes out with a rusty spoon. I would rather do that than play this dungeon again. And not even for the reasons you'd expect, okay? It's not because, oh, you have to keep raising the water level. No, you only do that once during this dungeon, which is a recurring theme with these dungeons, mind you. You only do that once, okay? The dungeon drags on for way too long. And get this, controlling Link underwater is nearly impossible with how they incorporated motion controls. You literally have to point at the screen and tilt the controller in the direction you want Link to swim, if you want him to swim fast. Couple that with the fact that Skyward Sword has the lowest amount of breath for Link underwater, and you have one big bad time. Neither of the bosses have anything to do with water, thank God. And the item you receive from the temple is arguably one of the worst in the entire franchise. The whip is only used in this dungeon, and then it's never used again. It's not even touched. It's not even creative. It's literally a blue string, okay? You whip the blue string, and sometimes you can swing across gaps. That's it. That's all it does. You can whip enemies and make them spin around and daze them for a few seconds. But even then, the time it takes to actually get it to work is definitely not worth it. You're literally better off just shield bashing them and then slicing them. It's literally the worst item in the entire franchise.
It's time for the final section of this video. On the 21st, I tweeted out cooking up something for the end of the month. Name off some underwater levels in video games you either love or hate. And now, I'll be covering some of your picks. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the video. Cosmic Cove Galaxy from Super Mario Galaxy 2. This is definitely one of the more fun water levels in the second Galaxy game. In this galaxy, you're tasked with finding a couple stars. Not too many, since Galaxy has more quantity than quality when it comes to its galaxies, but it's no problem. In this, you're free to float around underwater, and the controls here are pretty slick and precise. It's pretty fun to swim around holding a shell. Pearl Plunder is a short but fun minigame in Wii Party, and I had the pleasure of experiencing this joy when I played the game for the first time with my girlfriend. Basically, it's a minigame where you're tasked with collecting the most pearls from clams before the time runs out. There is one problem though. A sparking jellyfish tries to zap and slow down your progress. If you can collect the most pearls and avoid the jellyfish, you win.
Hello everybody, Sailor Dodo here today, making a cameo to talk about my favorite water level in gaming, the Great Bay Temple. Now, this is definitely a pick many won't agree with me on. Heck, I've seen some people call this level more insufferable than the infamous water temple from Ocarina of Time. However, that doesn't change my opinions on this level and how much I've enjoyed going through it on my multiple playthroughs of Majora's Mask. Personally, I've always enjoyed the challenge this dungeon provides in both puzzle solving and combat. In particular, I've always enjoyed the weight room puzzle towards the end in the battle against Gaiorg. Getting through the place alone is hard enough, let alone searching for fairies scattered throughout. But it's worth completing since getting all the fairies in Great Bite Temple rewards you with added defense, making the rest of the game cake. Not to mention the feeling of satisfaction you'll get from solving all the complex puzzles, fighting all the tough enemies, and finding every stray fairy. At day's end, I think that's what makes this level so special to me. The fact that I, at the time a 15-year-old relative newcomer to games outside the Sonic franchise, managed to best such an infamous level all by himself. Man, it feels great. And I always have a blast going through it each and every time I visit it. So thanks for having me on, LC. It was an honor and a pleasure.